Speaking of Arc Raiders, there's this video I wanted to watch called Arc Raiders Wild 6-Year Development Cycle. We're going to take a little break here and watch this, and then we'll get back to some Mega Bonk.
This is Arc Raiders during its conceptual phase of development back in 2019. The footage you're seeing was one of the first things the studio made after being founded just 3 months prior. And while the demo itself looked great, the most important part is the studio behind the game, Embark Studios. The studio was formed in late 2018 by ex-DICE leadership due to a lack of creative control on the Battlefield franchise. They were tired of being forced to make just one project year after year. And when I say ex-DICE leadership, I mean a majority of key decision makers at DICE, including the CEO of DICE, audio and art directors, and many other key development veterans. This development story is one that I've never quite had an opportunity of learning about until now. Throughout the development of the game, if at any point EA got their hands on this studio and the game, it would never see the light of day.
Oh boy.
This is the story of Arc Raiders and how a studio born
DICE,
from AAA failures redefined how a game is made.
I love this game so much, dude. I love it so much. You know, I will say this. You know, a lot of people that are that played the server slam test and weren't impressed. I will say this in the defense of the players on this one, and I don't think it was the best. Okay, so the whole point of it was a server slam test. They were testing the servers. The whole point wasn't to showcase the game, right? But they had to have known that this was still going to try to showcase the game. This was going to be a lot of people's first impressions. So I will say that in the defense of the players who don't like it, this probably wasn't the best version of the game to show. I think when the game fully launches, it's going to be much more dynamic, and people will, I think eventually, look, some people are just not going to like it. They're just not going to like it. Because that's just, they don't like the arcs, they don't like the gameplay loop. That's fine. That's just not their thing. But there's some people that I think just have the wrong impression. Yo, what's up, Knuckle Up? How you doing, brother?
The founders of Embark Studios, under the corporate umbrella of EA, felt constrained by the business and production models of large AAA development. Many core developers were tired of making Battlefield all the time and wanted to create a new original title, one that left the mold of Battlefield. Patrick Sutherland, the CEO of DICE, mentioned that when facing pressure to deliver a game on time, the common solution was to just put more people on it. This resulted in teams of 900 people.
Jeez.
A process he called counterproductive to efficiency and to controlling quality.
That's a lot of people, dude.
So, in late 2018 to early 2019, Patrick, alongside 5 industry veterans, left DICE and created Embark Studios in Stockholm, Sweden.
Wow.
Just down the street from DICE. A significant but undisclosed portion of these early hires were veteran developers and executives from DICE and other parts of EA who were drawn to the new studio's mission. Their mission stemmed from the belief that large AAA development had become stagnant and creatively stifled, prioritizing safe sequels and franchises over new ideas.
Yeah, I talk about this all the time. They do this in every industry, by the way. Another industry where you can really see the effects of this sort of thinking is the music industry. Remember back in the 60s and 70s, I wasn't alive back then, but you know, all the golden years of music, the Eagles and all that stuff. Well, people were creating music for the art. They were creating music because they had a story to tell and they were trying to be different and they were trying to be bold. Now it's like there's these certain formulas that the music industry creates music by, And it's not about creating something original. It's not about taking chances. It's about, well, we have something that prints money. Let's don't veer off of that. Let's just stay within this box because we know this works. And it just kills creativity. And video games have been doing the same thing for a while now.
And this is a not so uncommon belief from those in leadership positions at big companies. I mean, just take a look at the story behind Expedition 33.
I agree,
the same
Knuckle.
thing happened. Just a couple of developers left Ubisoft due to the same exact reasons. Not only did Embark Studios now have the creative freedom to make whatever game they wanted, they also had technical freedom as well.
Let's go.
You may have seen videos like this one, where AI agents teach themselves how to behave. Well, Embark Studios decided to experiment with this idea and take it to the next level. They used the same reinforcement learning techniques on their AI bots in gaming. The enemies in the final version of Arc Raiders we see were not hand animated by animators, but were taught how to move.
Oh, that's so cool.
And this is just one of the many technical innovations made by Embark Studios. In fact, to date, Embark Studios has not only continued to make technical innovations, but they've also open sourced a fair amount of their work for the entire gaming industry to benefit from.
That's really cool.
They are quite literally a tech company at heart that specializes in game development. So much so that back in 2019, they gave a talk during Google's Cloud Summit in Stockholm. With funding from Nexon, by February of 2019, Embark Studios had hired over 50 developers.
Oh boy.
The gaming studio was also now a tech company. But it was time to put their skills to
When I hear the word Nexon, I get a little tight around the collar, boys.
the test, building an actual game. But before I continue, if you're enjoying this video, please give it a like and subscribe to this channel. Both are free and help me make more content just like this.
If they don't make a PvE game mode or even other games with this stuff, they are missing a big old party boat. Now listen, I don't think this game should have PvE. I don't. I mean, I think they should do what I think they should do what Escape from Tarkov has done. I think they should stick to their guns and stick to their vision because I think it's amazing. But maybe they can, Embark. They're obviously a company that knows how to make games, so maybe they can create something else that's a PvE. But I don't think PvE belongs in this game. It doesn't even make sense. I love it just the way it is. And by the way, I'm biased because I love it. And maybe they will. I don't think they will, but
After newly formed Embark Studios increased their headcount, they immediately
Gee, me and you don't agree on much. I'm starting to realize that. Me and you don't agree on much.
began prototyping 2 new games alongside their technical experiments. Arc Raiders, codenamed Project Pioneer, and The Finals, codenamed Project Discovery. Arc Raiders began the prototyping phase as a cooperative, free-to-play action game set in a distant, futuristic world. Within just 3 months of the studio being formed, they already had beautiful concept arts and in-engine tests. Everything in this clip was created by 3 people over 3 weeks using real-world scanned data. Throughout 2019, the teams kept making prototypes and concept arts for both titles. The Arc Raiders team moved past the prototyping
GGs.
stage and into full production in the spring of 2020. At this point, Arc Raiders was their primary project, with the finals being a secondary project. The team was focused entirely on realizing the original vision of Arc Raiders, a free-to-play, co-op, PvE action game where players work together to fight.
You know why I love the arcs and why I think everyone who doesn't like that aspect of the game is completely wrong? Is because the game wouldn't even, if the arc machines were not tough to battle, and if they weren't a really severe, like a really harsh opponent, then the game would be pointless. the whole reason that the human beings went underground was because of the appearance of the arc machines. They're that deadly. They were literally driven underground by the arc machines. If we were able to come up top and just the arc machines were kind of like whatever, they were there, kind of annoying, but they're easy to kill, the game would have no backbone to it. It would be stupid.
Massive mechanical enemies, a game akin to Helldivers 2. And just as Arc Raiders began full production, the pandemic hit the world and negatively impacted most gaming studios. Embark, like most studios, transitioned to the remote working model. However, unlike large monolithic AAA projects, which often struggled heavily during the pandemic, Embark's smaller, technologically nimble structure allowed it to continue its work and quickly adapt to the changes in the world. This technological advantage was driven by their philosophy of automating content creation. During the pandemic, Embark's R&D team developed and fully implemented a fully proprietary tool for one-click photogrammetry. This in-house tool allowed artists to fully automate the process of turning high-resolution scan data of real-world objects into finished game-ready assets in just minutes.
Whoa.
At a traditional AAA studio, this process alone would take days.
Huh.
This dramatically increases speed and fidelity of environmental assets being poured into the Arc Raiders world. By November 2020...
Maybe that's why the games are so well optimized, because... Now listen, I'm no tech wizard. I don't know exactly what he's talking about, but it sounds like they're able to take pictures and then turn that into a 3D rendering in minutes. And I guess that's just easier on the computer to handle. I don't know.
CEO Patrick Sutherland noted that the studio was still growing and was close to 200 people now. Embark wasn't slowing down during the pandemic. They were actually speeding up drastically. And at this point, this is what Arc Raiders looked like. And for a studio that had just started a bit over a year at this point, it's a bit crazy for the game to look this good. Embark had also been doing in-studio tests of the game every single day for well over a year at this point. But they also began working on an early, unfinished build of the game that they can put in front of people outside the studio to gather feedback and insights on how the game plays. The rest of 2020 was spent refining their tech and continuing to build out their game. Within the early months of 2021, the
guys, I'm in trouble. There's Jameson. I'm in trouble.
Quality bar of their machine learning robots that learned how to walk within a game world was achieved, and multiple AI enemies were added into the game.
We're just taking a break. We're just watching this.
Both Arc Raiders and the finals were rapidly approaching their targets, so it was time to reveal the game to the world. During the Game Awards in 2021, we got our first glimpse at what Embark Studios had been working on since the studio's formation, and the gaming industry loved it. This was during a time in the history of gaming where the top games were dominated by battle royales and everybody was sick of them. And here comes a free-to-play, purely cooperative third-person shooter.
I'm not a rabbit fox, bro. I'm very calm.
Who made Battlefield. The game was set to release in 2022, and everything was going perfect.
I'm so happy things work out the way they work out. In 2022, that's the year that I started streaming, and I don't think it would have lined up the way it is. I think now, me having streamed for a few years now, and picking up a tiny bit of steam that I'm picking up, I think in this game coming along when it did, I think it's all lining up perfectly.
So far, until the feedback started coming in. There was a giant problem with the game that internal teams at Embark had terribly missed.
I'm unstable and aggressive. You're a gaslighter, GI!
Early builds of Arc Raiders didn't quite feel as fun to play as the original 2021 announcement trailer.
Oh, and you know what else? Before they get into this, he's about to say something that's going to make my point even more clear about how necessary the PvP is. The developers themselves, see, this is why you got to trust people like me, and you got to trust people like the developers, because we're all very smart people, right? And 151 IQ, everyone knows this. It's well documented. I have the documents. That the developers themselves, who developed the freaking game when it was just PvE, literally stopped development and switched to PvP to put a PvP aspect to it, because they themselves said the game wasn't fun. They said the game was not fun.
Trailer indicated that it would. But we came to the conclusion after quite a long time. Guys, this game is not fun,
There it is.
said Patrick Sutherland. It was with this delay that the decision was made to turn what was originally going to be a PvE game into a PvPvE game. But the real question was how? Well, fortunately for Embark, this was right around the time that their former employer, EA, released Battlefield 2042 to catastrophic failure. And after the hellish development of that game, EA decided to completely restructure DICE and every studio that was working on Battlefield, including the incredibly talented developers and leaders that still remained at DICE. Since at this point, Embark was a refugee away from big AAA developers, they naturally and very smartly scooped up those who left DICE, including executive producer Alexander Grundal, who was brought into the team in the last 6 months of its development. It took me a long time to understand what we were even trying to do, he said. When it came to looking at earlier builds of Arc Raiders, there was moments of fun, but it doesn't consistently gel. While CEO Patrick Sutherland said, guys, this game is not fun, Grundal provided a more nuanced explanation of why the pure PvE game was failing and how to fix it. The fix to make the game more fun involved adding a PvP element to the game. It's also something a lot of Embark's founding developers swore they would never do, after leaving EA and DICE due to being tired of PvP. But if they wanted the game to actually be fun, they had to do something. So the entirety of 2022 was spent on redefining the core gameplay loop.
Wow.
Adding PvP to the game made the gameplay way more variable. With PvP, when you see another raider chased by a swarm of arc drones, do you go in for a kill? Do you lend a helping hand? Or do you hold back and feast on the valuable remains? Meanwhile, the development of their secondary title, Project Discovery, aka The Finals, was progressing extremely rapidly due to the technical choices made at Embark. Normally, in a large studio with hundreds of moving parts, this is the point in the project where it would either be cancelled or released as is. No corporation or publisher.
If this game wasn't coming out, if this game was not on the horizon, I legit don't know what I don't know what I would be doing as far as streaming goes. I mean, I would be in a I would be in straight up crisis mode as a streamer. Crisis mode.
Sure would want to spend their money on actually fixing the game. But in this case, the call was made to delay Arc Raiders to 2023 while the teams worked on the new PvP aspect. And since their second project, The Finals, was progressing so well, the teams decided to switch the priority of the two projects.
Wow.
It was a win-win for.
It's amazing in Battlefield. That might have been the finals. It's amazing how you can have a whole building fall on you, and you make it out. That's pretty good. Over here, we bait people into almost helping, then we kill them. Never trust a fox. Oh, dude, in Arc Raiders, if people trusting me, will be a really bad decision.
Embark, they would be able to push out the finals faster, and Arc Raiders would get the attention and development time it needed. In early 2023, the focus would shift to the finals, while the team worked on the changes to Arc Raiders. And by May of 2023, Arc Raiders had taken the shape of what Embark Studios believed to be a truly promising PvPvE survival extraction shooter, a game that stays true to the original Arc Raiders universe, and more importantly, a game that they were having immense fun with internally. But it was time to find out if the changes they had made were actually fun with the most important test, putting Arc Raiders in the hands of gamers.
Yep. I'm getting chills. Oh my gosh. I'm such a dork. I'm legit getting chills listening to this.
After the successful release of the finals at the
Which you guys could see the hair on my knees standing straight up.
end of 2023, focus shifted back to Arc Raiders. The next step for Embark Studios will be to perform a closed alpha test to get feedback on the game's core systems and loops. As Embark began letting players into the test builds, the feedback became positive.
I'm basically gonna Jameson, I'm basically gonna be edging for the next 9 days, bro. Okay. The 30th, when the game fully launches, when we have access to all aspects of the game. Jeez, bro, I don't even know.
About the new direction.
I think they really have. I genuinely think they have something really cool here.
Me too, Gore.
I think your average player doesn't give a fuck that it's an extraction game. They're gonna come in, they're gonna take a free kit, and they're gonna have an amazing journey. They're gonna play 1 or 2 raids.
Unless you're Ray.
Who cares? Who cares about the extraction part? It's not even about that. Just experiencing the game is incredible. I don't know how to explain it.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
The atmosphere,
I'm kind of retarded.
the sound design.
While a lot of players who were originally excited for the original version of Arc Raiders had reserved thoughts of the game, now including PvP, it absolutely didn't discount the fact that PvE and AI elements still remained a difficult and significant threat. By mid-2024, it was pretty clear that the direction they were taking Arc Raiders was the correct choice.
Yep.
The game
Yep.
was actually great now that PvP was introduced.
100%.
But this genre change also went against the free-to-play model that Embark had originally envisioned for the game.
Good.
In August 2024, Embark officially announced that Arc Raiders would no longer be a free-to-play title. Instead, it was shifting to a $40 premium price point upon
Good.
release in 2025.
Good.
Executive producers on the title explained that this change was necessary because the premium model was a better fit for the experience they're building. It allowed the team to focus on creating an engaging, balanced, and replayable action survival experience without the
$40 for the amount of hours that someone that even remotely cares about this game, like someone that's going to spend hours and hours and hours, like there's going to be people that put like Tarkov level of hours into this game, and I will be one of them, like thousands of hours. Now, when you think about like price per hour, like cost per hour to play the game, it's basically zero. I mean, you're damn near playing the game for free at that point. About to get my shot caller, bros. Jordan.
pressures of having to constantly design content to juice players for more money, as is often required by the free-to-play model. With the genre and business model settled, Embark began allowing the public to test the core experience. Embark launched its first public technical test in late 2020.
Willie, remind me about Starfield again. After this, we have about 4 or 5 more minutes left of this video. I do want to talk about the Starfield thing, because you're right. I did do that, but this is completely different.
24 on Steam for invited playtesters. The purpose was to assess the game's new PvPvE core loop with a bigger group and gather community feedback ahead of its 2025 release window. The test further confirmed that the redesign was working, as the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. And just 6 months later, another technical test was planned, Tech Test 2, which ran from April to May. This was a critical, large-scale public playtest. It was the first time console players were introduced alongside PC players. The team used this test to gather massive amounts of data on cross-platform performance, combat balance, and the complexity of the crafting systems, as well as player progression. The feedback from this test, just like the first test, was overwhelmingly positive, validating the pivot even further. The teams at Embark were absolutely booming with excitement since their project that they had spent the last 6 years building had finally achieved their last milestone. Gamers' praise and anticipation. In June of 2025, they finally set the release date in stone, October 30th. Executive producer Alexander Grundahl emphasized that Technical Test 2 gave them the best rehearsal needed for the final stretch of polish. Funny enough, down the street from them at DICE and EA, the teams were simultaneously putting the finishing touches on Battlefield 6. And someone discovered that if you mention Arc Raiders in the EA app's messaging system, it would immediately be censored. It didn't censor any other franchises
That's actually crazy, dude. That was crazy.
like GTA or Call of Duty.
It just reeks of insecurity.
Only Arc Raiders. EA did not want this game to succeed. This transparent attempt to silence a competitor, which I interpret as sour grapes following the high-profile departure of key DICE talent, only provided Embark with a massive free publicity gain. But thankfully, Arc Raiders had something better than publisher backing, a great game.
Exactly.
The positive feedback from the tech tests ensured it was already one of the most wishlisted games on Steam. Embark Studios brilliantly captured on the mishap, posting this on their social media accounts.
That was brilliant.
This move cemented Embark's reputation as the player-focused underdog while confirming that the long, winding road of development, marked by delays, genre changes, and brutal self-assessment, had finally delivered a title ready to stand toe-in-toe with the industry's giants. They weren't scared of EA. EA was scared of them, and they had the player numbers to prove it. As of recording this, the game is about to release. And if the Server Slam numbers are any indication of the success of this game, it'll be an incredibly successful launch for Embark Studios. And rightfully so. They've poured so much effort into this game, gave back to the gaming industry with technical innovations, and broke free of the norms set by the giant publishers. Good luck with the launch, Embark Studios. Everybody's rooting for you and your success. And if you want to know what happened to DICE and Battlefield after the loss of the great talent at DICE,
I don't. Okay, so real quick, I want to talk about the Starfield thing because someone was Willie Nelson who brought up the Starfield mishap. Here's what happened with Starfield. Okay, this is why I was tricked with Starfield. Okay, and here's why this is different. Because in Starfield, they were billing that as like Skyrim in space. Okay, that's what they were calling it. Now, can you think, now forget what you know about the game now. Think about like conceptually what that sounds like, how great that sounds. A Starfield or a Skyrim in space. It's like, of course, that's every gamer's wet dream, right? And I spent the next, several months leading up to its launch thinking that this was going to be my favorite game of all time but here's where I messed up. And I'll admit this. And here's why Arc Raiders is different. Whenever a game, or whenever a developer like Bethesda releases a game, all you get is handcrafted, carefully hand-selected gameplay footage, a carefully selected and crafted like cinematic trailers. Their job is to sell you the game before it launches. Their job is to shed to completely ignore all of its shortcomings, to make sure you don't even think about the shortcomings, and to sell you on the amazing idea of this game. And I fell for it hook, line, and sinker. I'll admit that. The reason this game is different, the reason Ark Raiders is different, is because they barely even had a marketing campaign. Barely. The reason I feel the way I feel about this game is because of Tech Test 2. Their marketing has consisted of thousands of actual gamers, actual streamers playing the game, recording their gameplay, live streaming the gameplay, and putting out actual gameplay footage and actual streamers who are not paid to do so talking about the game. Some of the pickiest gamers you've ever met in your life fell in love with this game after Tech Test 2. I mean, Dr. Disrespect doesn't like anything except for like even the games that he does play, he hates, like Warzone. And every gamer that there was like one bad review from some jackwagon at IGN. Like everyone knows about that. Everyone thinks that guy's a dummy. But I have not made my decision and crafted my opinion on this game based off anything that Embark has told me, which is completely different from the Starfield situation. I have crafted my reasoning and my excitement for this game based off what actual gamers have said, who have actual hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of actual in-game gameplay, not cinematic trailers, not smart marketing strategy, actual gameplay. And I've actually played the game now. So, yes, this game is that good. It will be around for a long time. Everybody who thinks this game is DOA is crazy. Everybody who doesn't like the gameplay loop is wrong. Everybody who thinks the Arc machines are annoying, well, they are kind of annoying, but that's the point. But they think they don't belong in the game are wrong. Everybody who thinks the PvP is worse for the game than straight PvE are wrong. I'm right. Embark is right. We're all right. You guys are just wrong. That's just the way it is.
Yes, call it. You make it. You made it.
Let's go. Let's go. Get in here. Let's go. Let's go. Are you freaking kidding me?
Let's go, baby.